Hi, honey. It's Sarah, and I am spending a very pretty day out. So I thought I would bring you along with me. It's something a little bit different. Today is the last day of 2025. It's not intentional that I'm recording this on this day. But it's a nice coincidence, hey? I don't think I'm doing a wrap of 2025, but there was something that came back to mind when I was just, doing the usual reflecting as we usually do. Anyways, just talking about this place for a second. Yeah, it's one of my favorite places on this land in Singapore. It is like an oasis in the middle of what is really a city sort of area. And I'm anything but a city girl. I am really anything but a city girl. But it's little pockets like this that make city life a little bit more bearable. So let me just show you around. Okay, so this is about 4 minutes away from a cafe that I really like. And I get some work done there, and then by the afternoon or whenever it is that I feel like it, then I start to walk around. And this is a great walking spot, guys. Like, have a look. A little bit shaded today, cloudy. I prefer it a little bit more when it's a bit brighter. But I fully understand it. If this is more your sort of weather. I wish it were a bit more sunny, but okay, no problem. It would make me a bit happier, but okay, so we're not in a prettier side of this bank. So you know why I say it's an oasis, right? Because we're near the water, and I always gravitate towards being near-ish any water body. Yeah. And that's why it is that I find a place like this so magical. And we're not anywhere prettier along the bank today. Okay, there are prettier places normally that I sit at because there are parties that are going to be happening up nearer towards the stadium over there. So there's pumping music. I hope you're not picking this up so much on the mic. But okay, so the long and short of it today, there are buildings behind me. Whoa, I'm not a city girl. But the long and short of it is that I was reminded of a journal prompt that I was sort of unraveling with myself, and I was sort of thinking through, and it came back into mind recently. It was prompted by a podcast actually that I listened to back in October. So that's October, November, December, 3 months ago. And it was an interview podcast between Jay Shetty and his guest. Her name is Quinlan. And, she said something really profound in that chat with Jay Shetty. So they're talking a lot about relationships and how it is, the in thing these days, and a lot of people are talking about it now, is about attachment styles, especially in relationships. It seems to be the thing to talk about. And Quinlan and Jay talk a lot about, well, they had many things to share, but the one thing that really stuck in my mind was this particular thing. And it wasn't a main point. It was really said in a fleeting way. But to me, it stuck. It still sticks. Like sticky tape on paper. It caught on so quick. It was this very short phrase she used. And it was acute heartbreak. What a brilliant phrase. The shortest phrase and I think it's brilliant, you know why? Because it very wisely and adequately sums up what it is that the last year and a half has been for me. Like, I can say it in 20-minute videos about, what all about this feeling is and what heartbreak is to me and what this experience has been like. But having someone else reflect it to me and say, hey, acute heartbreak is so-and-so. That was amazing to be on the receiving end of that. And I had to break it down quite a bit by myself after that. And that's the thing that, when we consume so much, whether it's a book that you read, a podcast that you listen to, a research paper that you're thumbing through, and you're learning all these things, right? The sucky thing about it, sometimes, at least for a person in my situation at this point in time, when I don't have so much community, I don't have as much community as I feel I normally would find myself in. The sucky thing is that I don't get to discuss it with anyone. So I hear something so profound on a podcast, for example, right? And the phrase is acute heartbreak. And I break it down so much in my own head, I don't have anyone else to discuss it with. So this is me pretending that I'm sitting in a room or sitting on a coastline and talking to you about it, all right? So acute heartbreak, why it resonated, or why it still sticks with me so well, is because it's putting together two things that I feel normally would not be found on the same level playing field. So acute, what does acute normally mean, or what is it with reference to, right? It's about disease, it's about illness, and the first things that come to mind. And you're talking about things in physical health, I guess. Maybe that's where I put the word acute. Something that happens suddenly. And yeah, it's more in a physical healthcare sort of perspective. And when you pair that with a word like heartbreak in itself is a heavy word, but when put together, it's just like, wait, how is it so beautiful that heartbreak is not specifically something that I would say that you can put in physical, you can't define it so much in the physical realm. It's a lot of things that you feel. It's feelings. It's a lot of heart. It's not an organ that is diseased. It's not an illness that we can tackle. It's not something that we can look at under a microscope and say that, hey, there's this virus or this bacteria, and this is how we're going to try to treat it or cure it and stuff like that. So heartbreak is not, to me, of the physical, malleable sort, like disease might be. And putting those two things together is such a beautiful parallel, because it reminds me of how, acute heartbreak, okay, let's just put it very simply. It just makes me realize that everything will pass. So acute heartbreak is when you're in that space where everywhere you turn, everything hurts. It doesn't matter how much you talk to yourself, who you talk to, what you talk to them about, and how it is you try to spin a story to yourself. It's pain any which way that you turn, or it's difficulty, or it's things that are difficult to swallow, difficult circumstances. And that's when you're sitting in that acute phase of heartbreak. What I love about the word acute, though, is, of course, number one, it's sudden, so it comes along unexpectedly. But the second thing, which is what I appreciate more about using that word, is that it is not permanent. Yeah, I like that. We're paralleling it with something that is not permanent, something that will not last forever. But it doesn't negate the fact that it hurts like a mother. It doesn't take away the fact or the tone that heartbreak is a very difficult thing to go through. And it's painful while it's there, and that acute is a phase. I guess that's what I was looking for, and why that stuck with me so well. Let's look at the journal entry, shall we? I have my journal with me. Let me just try to whip it out. The sun's coming up a little bit. always a good thing in my books. But where is this damn? So I walk around with like 5 journals and with like 5 notebooks. So finding something in particular, let's just look, okay? You want to see what this particular journal? Hello. Okay, so he's not wanting to focus. So okay, he wants to focus. Camera, you want to focus on me, and that's thank you for the attention. Let's go to. Okay, I found it. So this is the journal entry I had that was prompted by that interview or that conversation between Jay and Quinlan. And I remember after I listened to that, and I broke it down a little bit as according to what is that I just shared with you and why is that I love that phrase so much. I had one question for Quinlan. And if I were a fly on that wall, present in that room with them, I would have asked Quinlan, and I was really desperate to find out this answer at that time. I was like, Quinlan, can you tell me how long this acute phase lasts? Because there's something, it's about wanting a little bit of control, right? It's a little bit about me wanting to know, hey, when is this shit show gonna stop? Or when, if it's not anytime soon, I would like to at least know, because knowledge is power, right? Or if you know it's coming soon, it would be nice to know as well, because it's always nice to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, or to be able to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost like, is there a deadline to this, or is there an end point? Is there a finish line to heartbreak, so that I can, at least I have something to look forward to, I guess. And wanting to look forward to something is essentially trying to find a bit of hope. A little bit of hope of trying to, a little bit of hope in a better way of being, potentially. And, when I asked myself that question, and I wish that I could ask that question of Quinlan, I went ahead and sort of asked it by myself, and I said, hey, if she were actually to answer, to give you an answer, what would that answer probably be? Of course, the answer would probably be along the lines of, well, how long does the cute heartbreak last? Or how long can a person stay in that phase? I guess it depends, Sarah. Would that answer surprise me? No. Is it adequate to me? No. Is it enough for me? No. But it's one of those things I feel like I just need to learn to accept. It's not about settling for less. It's about realizing that not everything can be answered in a way that you hope. So if you're really hoping, I'm speaking to myself here, right? If you're really hoping for a better answer than that, what would that answer be? I don't know. So I wish there were an end point. And so I've been going through this period of my life over the past year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half of going through this. I haven't gone through one heartbreak. I've been through multiple things. I talk more about just one specific heartbreak in this series. And it's probably 80% of the heartbreaks that I've experienced in this one heartbreak. But here's the thing, as I have moved a year and a half away from that heartbreak, I've learned that within that acute heartbreak phase, therein lies other steps as well. It's not just one solid line, and it's just like, okay, it's gonna hurt, and then it's gonna get better. At least that's not the truth for me. That hasn't been the truth for me. Reality is the up and down, massive ups and downs. And in hindsight, I've looked at it and thought okay, so in hindsight, I think a lot of my peaks and valleys have been in 3-month increments. So scientific, huh? But that's how it's been for me. It's been pretty obvious. There would be 3 months at a time that I would feel like, okay, I'm really, really getting so much better. I'm feeling so much better. I am doing so much better. I'm making better decisions for myself. I'm not on the floor as much. and I feel like I'm doing better. But then, just as remarkably as that happens, I get pushed further into the rut that I wanted so badly to get out of, and I found myself even deeper in that rut. Didn't think that that could happen, you know. That was very sure that that rut was, you know, it was rock bottom. I just showed you that rock bottom is a myth. You can go deeper, honey. But so yeah, stages within the acute heartbreak phase in itself. So the reality for me, so if you break it down, a year and a half. Dude, I'm not going to do the math. Okay, it's just been a big roller coaster of ups and downs. And it's majorly frustrating. Massively frustrating. What was the point of all that growth when all I am going to be left with, or the place that I'm going to be left in is, or going to find myself back in, is even worse than where I started. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous if you ask me. But there's nothing that I could do to change that reality. Yes, I could frame a different story around it, but that was what it was. Every time I thought that there no way it could get worse, and it did somehow. I guess that's the process and that's the journey. Yeah. And with acute heartbreak, I think there was one thing that I said to myself. That's the brilliant thing about journaling. That's the brilliant thing about journaling, is that sometimes you say things or you write things that you never anticipated. So this was one thing that I really, I talk about how awesome that phrase is, and I thank Quinlan and Jay for that conversation. But I realized that, you know, at the end of the day, I can talk about heartbreak as much as I want. And this probably won't be the last time that I talk about it. It won't be the last heartbreak that I will experience. But at the end of the day, I don't want this to be the defining factor of me, that I identify with the most. There are other things, brilliant things in my life that are worth highlighting and talking about, other than heartbreak. Yes, heartbreak is a depth that you go through to be able to surface and rise to higher heights, I guess. But I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay in heartbreak forever and evermore. I'll take the 3-month ups, or rather, I'll take the 3 months down, as long as it promises, or I promise myself that the 3 months up will be stellar. And they generally are, which makes the drop even worse. Makes the drop even like, why do I have to go through the ups and the downs? But I don't have an answer for that. I wish it could just all be in the uptrend. Apparently this is called reality. And the other thing that I wrote down, I thought I would share with you, is this. So listen, honey, remember that it was a time when, in heartbreak, where life was basically engulfed in flames. And listen, although it was painful and it was burning, you were set ablaze in ways that you never asked for. You too have a role in it. So you are either in the stage of pouring gasoline on the flames, or you're fanning those flames in that big forest fire that never seems to end. Or you're in the stage of putting or trying to put the flames out, and at the same time keeping just enough of those flames around for you to still be able to see in the dark, for you to still be able to see what's in front of you, and for you to be able to still keep yourself warm. I think that's the brilliant thing about fire, right? Too much of it, destruction. Too little of it, fuck cold. I guess very much like the sun, that is appearing and disappearing. as we are recording. It's just movement and momentum and the flow that we all have to accept. But I loved this when this came out on paper for me. You know, you're in one stage or the other. Sometimes maybe straddling a bit of both. Some days maybe you're straddling a bit of both. You're sort of like adding gasoline to that fire or adding to the problem. Or sometimes you might be ready to move on. And I've thought that I've been ready to move on for a while. But it seems that I have a ways to go. And I'm okay with that. As long as I'm, I guess, moving in that general direction. That's A-okay with me. So yeah, I thought, this is what I miss about having people around me all the time. And I'm in a little bit of a hermit stage right now, where I choose to be a bit more quiet, with the hopes of quieting the mind a bit and being more mindful about just everything in life. And this is what I miss about being around people, is being able to discuss these things. I've not been able to discuss or talk about this thing that I heard from a podcast with anyone else. What a privilege to be able to talk to you about it. And then to share my side of it. And if you have something that you would like to say about acute heartbreak, whether it's your experience with it or how it is that you've dealt with it, how long you think it lasts. If you have a better understanding of it because you're further away from it, honey, I would love to hear from you. But yeah, in the meantime, I guess it's just me, my thoughts, and my voice, and this beautiful bank. Beautiful, beautiful bank. And I love, look at this sun, girls. Look at this sun. Yes. You're going to find me right here for a while. And remind myself that I'm not going to stay in this heartbreak forever. I don't want to. I refuse. And onward to bigger, better times where hopefully we can regulate ourselves a little bit better and show up in love in better ways than we have before. And isn't that beautiful? To have hope that there are better days to come and that we can do better for ourselves and for the people around us as well. I think that's brilliant. Let me leave it at that, honey, or else this is going to be a 2-hour long video. Look, so much beauty here to just bask in. And I hope you take the time to just sit with yourself today. Maybe talk to a camera or talk to other people around you if you're lucky enough to have them. Go talk to your people, guys. Until next time, sweetheart. I guess I'll see you on the flip side. It's going to be 2026 in a couple of hours. Thank you for listening in. I will talk to you soon. Take care, honey. Bye.